What is good, everybody? I am DJ of TM88, and today I'm doing my first review on this channel as far as a mixtape and album reviews. So, give or take, what you can expect from my reviews is pure honesty. I know y'all say, hey man, you might have some conflict of interest here with Sacii and Swang and whatnot, but guess what? I'm an honest person when it comes to a lot of my reviews. I often joke as well, but all seriousness aside, I just like to keep it real because I like to see my brethren or people I don't know grow as artists and whatnot. And I'm not one of those people that like to totally ish on people's work. But anyways, what we have here is Sacii, and it's the Dirty Glove Sacii tape, which is by Dirty Glove Bastards on their website, /glove or dirty-glove.com. which link would be in the description box. And it's a free download, and it came out on Black Friday. So, Sacii, he's an Atlanta-based rapper from the South Side that comes in the game with a clear and awkward cadence. And and when I say clear and awkward, is that a lot of his flow is very, very different from your typical ATL rapper or typical rapper these days in general, because he's not 100% doing the triplet flow that has overtaken hip hop, because everybody wants to kind of just follow the trend that works. So, that's actually cool. That doesn't mean that he doesn't do it, but at the same time, he does it the way he does it, instead of just following the lead of Future, which is basically the new king of the South. And sorry, T.I., I mean, it is what it is. I mean, times change and whatnot. So, Sacii himself is a pretty dope rapper. I mean, he comes off very awkwardly to a first listener. I mean, it worked that way for me, and then on top of that, but what kind of concealed the deal was the fact that he was greatly produced. And a lot of the stuff that he raps on actually works for him in his favor. So, getting into the tape, the first track is Thug City, which features 2 Chainz, Quavo, and K-Camp, and DJ Outer Space. So this is a gassed up record. The main reason why it's number 1 is on the mixtape is because it's the one that's actually on the radio, so that people actually know and identify to it. Now, is the song good or bad? I actually think the song is actually dope. I think 2 Chainz delivers the best verse on the song, and Sacii delivers a dope hook. Quavo, he's a pretty dope rapper. It's the first time I actually heard of him. K-Camp, he's pretty decent. It is what it is. And DJ Outer Space got a feature on there, I guess, because he's the DJ. So whatever the case may be, is cool. And TM88 actually came in and delivered what I call a deliciously awkward ambient dark sound, which is pretty much the mainstay of this mixtape in general, along with like the way it's recorded, very gritty and very dark. It to most people that are technical turds, you will say, hey, this is not mixed right, not mixed well. To me, it's it's a mixtape. At the same time, I look at the quality of music that actually fit like the actual grit of whatever it is or the style it is. So the actual mixing, which isn't the most professional, it fits the mood of the tape and actually made me listen even more than the average person. So, but anyways, moving on to 2, which is Jug, and it features Swang. This is actually one of my more favorite songs. It's actually produced by 808 Mafia. So shouts out to them for this. And it's actually pretty good. I actually promoted it on my website. That's what it's called. But I promoted it at DJMcCree.net, and it is a really good song. It's kind of hard to tell Sacii from Swang on this particular song, but as you know, once people work together, they kind of start gelling, which means that they kind of feed off each other's energy. So it kind of it's kind of a dope way to actually look at them, kind of gelling in a sense, and it delivers. The actual track itself, it kind of feels the cadence of the actual tape itself, and being a 12 song tape, that's pretty good, versus 22 songs and a lot of album fillers that didn't work. A lot of the songs are not like that. So and speaking of like album fillers, Get Rid of It kind of feels like it's on that type of level. And and I'm not trying to be unfair or be biased because it's not produced by TM88. I know, but because DJ Pretty Boy Tank, which is called DJ Tank Brody now, is another fellow homeboy of mine. So I come with him with true honesty, and the production is not the problem. It actually shocked me that he was actually this dope at producing, because he's pretty much a full-time DJ. But Get Rid of It is a pretty decent song. The hook is pretty good. It's okay, and the verses are pretty simple and sweet. And Spike Sacii did his thing, and that's the first time you actually would hear Spike Sacii if you didn't hear the last tape. And I thought he did a pretty decent job. But there's other songs that, like Leaning, that kind of hit the spot when you want to be in the whip or even just at home or whatever. Because I actually listened to this tape when what was I doing? I was recoding my website, and this tape actually got me through it. So, and Leaning was the one that I actually went to the most at that time, because the first time I actually heard it. So that's a pretty decent job. At this point, Leaning, the production by TM88, very solid. Kind of he used the gross beat effect, the scratch effect, which every producer is now on now. So he's one of the first to actually patent that. But anyways, definitely good there. But one of the real big gems of it was number 5, which is Sacii, which is actually features Swang again, and this is where the two actually kind of separate themselves, but they actually come in unison. They don't sound alike on this song, but they really deliver a monstrous composition with the help of TM88's dark and ambient sound. Very crazy, and I mean extremely crazy. And after that is like Address with Hefner Guap, which is an extremely awkward record, and it was probably one of my least favorites, but at the same time it's actually growing on me, like another record I'm going to talk about later. And I thought, hey, it's pretty good, for the most part, and it's not a TM88. It's one of the few that's not produced by TM88. It's by Anonymous, which is one of Timbaland's Hitchman and Polo the Don's Hitchman, a buddy of Swang, and he's pretty good. He's his awkward ear actually kind of compiled in a way that is very generous and very more experienced, because he didn't do your typical, hey, I'm gonna copy a hot trap producer and that's gonna be it. So yeah, and Hefner Guap actually delivers a pretty darn decent verse. So go Cali. And then you have Let's Get It. Let's Get It is probably my most favorite song no, it's not. It's one of my favorite songs off this, and and it's produced by TM88. So you get the gist here that TM88 had his full hand in this particular tape. It's actually a good song. All I know is pretty decent. The first time I heard Little Troop, because I'm a little late on the Eat the Sacii train, as I'm not as I kind of converse and get to fill out the people or whatnot. So that's pretty decent. I thought it was pretty decent. But one of the real gems is Paparazzi. I actually saw and talked to Swang about how it was developed, and it was actually a pretty interesting story, because they was actually making fun of a lot of the rappers, and that's actually how their style actually came to fruition. Basically, is that they was being silly and they was messing around, and then it worked. Go figure, right? But yeah, it's extremely dark, kind of a different type of feel than you would actually be used to. I love the hook, and yeah. Now this song right here, Pharmacy, which is the song after that, really had to get used to it, but it's probably the best song on the tape. It's not a new song. It's actually an old song. At first I did not like it, but then as I listened to it and listened to this awkwardness of the track, the awkwardness of the vocals, I actually realized that this is actually pretty much a gem of a song when you listen to a lot of other songs out here that kind of follow once again the typical pattern of a trap rapper. And so that shows that Sacii has a lot of promise, because this is his second tape. And now we have the song Gunnin'. I'm not too much of a fan of, but I think that it's a pretty solid song. I mean, it's not really your typical album filler type song. I also thought that the track itself was pretty darn good. I mean, you know, it's TM88 doing what he does best. So, you know, what can you say? Now, regardless, probably one of the higher up gems on this particular tape. Once again, it was introduced not a while ago. I promoted it on the website because it struck a nail with me, and I was just blown away. Features Kodak, and you know, it's not produced by TM88. It's produced by Gnarly Got Hits, and I was just like, wow, you know, this is pretty darn decent. Pet peeves of the tape. I kind of got a little tired of the dirty gloves. You know, if it ain't dirty gloves, mixtape, throw it in the trash. But you know, at the same time, it's less annoying than hearing a freaking DJ scream all over it over and over freaking again, right in the middle of verses, right in the middle of the beginning, just throwing you out the move, backspins and all this other crap. So, you know, it's forgivable at most for the most part. And they usually just tagged it at the beginning. So, you know, that didn't really just get in the way. It was just kind of funny just to hear him say, oh, if it's not a Dirty Glove mixtape, you better throw it in the trash. But anyways, you know, Dirty Glove, they did their thing there. You know, this is a pretty dope way to introduce Sacii, which hopefully in 2016, you know, he'll be full-fledged. Hopefully in 2016, I have a song produced by him if he doesn't slap me in the head in public for this review, which, you know, overall, which is the score, I would give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. And that's maybe more or less a little harsh, but definitely fair, I believe, because, you know, I don't want to throw out 8, 9s, and 10s like it's nothing for people, or even just like straight up gas and say 10 out of 10 and then just be like, hey, you know what, I want to send the beats to you and all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. Nah, that's not how we're gonna get better in Atlanta, because, you know, I want my peoples, anybody that's you know, and not just people that's straight from Atlanta, just every artist. I want every artist to be at their very best, because, you know, when you're at your very best, you know, people can't doubt you, and you end up doing what you need to do, and you end up doing your art a lot longer than just 1 year or a few months, like a lot of rappers did last year. And that's what I want for Sacii. I want Sacii to be a household name, you know, and that's why I saw it. And 7.5 out of 10 is not that bad. I mean, if you really look at it, that means that you're only, wow, 4.5 points away. No, whoa, math. Wow, you're only 2.5 points away from the 10, if you look at it that way. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's basically about it. You know, if you like this video, give it a like. I highly recommend that you download this. The link will be in the description box. It's pretty dope. You know, yeah, all you have to do is just go to the description box and download it. You know, if this is your first video you see my music, hey, check out our other videos, man. I got cool stuff in the playlist that you will love. I don't know if I'm gonna start a review playlist, like mixtape and album reviews playlist, and hopefully just kind of do a lot more reviews for that matter. So, Sacii, salute to you. I think the project was very well. Salute to TM88. I think he did his thing as well. I look forward to doing a Sacii, a Dirty Glove Sacii preset bank. You know, and you know, it will be very soon probably. So be on the lookout for that. You know, and you know, once again, you know, leave a comment if you're against my score, how you feel about this particular tape, and just let me know. You know, if you want to see more reviews by me on this page or channel for that matter. And don't forget to go to djmccree.net. Yeah. Is there anything I left out? Sacii.